Hello everyone, warm welcome to Super Coaching by Testbook, Regulatory Bodies YouTube channel. So before we start the discussion, may I have a reply in the comment section that I'm audible, visible, everything is fine. In this particular session, we are going to discuss the current affairs based on last 1 week. That means we will be covering all the important current affairs related to finance from 8th of October till 14th of October. Why this session is a must session for everyone, those who are preparing for RBI or any other regulatory body exams, and even for the bank students, then I would say in this particular session, I will be discussing all the important news related to the financial world. And you know this very well, whether it is your bank exam or your RBI exam or any other for that matter, any other regulatory body exam, finance related current affairs are really very important. And it's very logical. The reason is, if you are preparing for this examination and you are going to write an exam for the finance institution, finance part is obviously going to be important. So let's do one thing. Let's quickly copy the link of this session collectively. You also copy the link. I'm also doing that. So let's collectively copy the link of this session and let's share it with our friends so that more and more students, they can join us live in this particular session where we are going to discuss the most important current affairs from the past 1 week. So let's get started, guys, without any further delay. But before I start the discussion, I have a very important update to share with you. This session, that is 6 p.m. session, it is a must attend slot for everyone, those who are preparing for different exams, because on Monday we discuss the weekly PIB current affairs. On finance, on Tuesday it's weekly finance. On Wednesday, that is tomorrow, I will be discussing the RBI updates, then government schemes, ESI, as well as important reports will be discussed Monday to Saturday at 6 p.m. If you want to download the PDF of this session, that will be available on my Telegram channel, and the QR code, I would say, is visible on the screen. You can even use the handle, that is @Madhav Arora. So let's begin the discussion. We know this very well that Russia and Ukraine related disturbances are going on, and these disturbances, they have been witnessed from past few years. Due to Russia-Ukraine war and the disturbances, there is a disaster, or I would say there is a huge volume of destruction which has been witnessed in Ukraine. Keeping the same structure in mind, World Bank, as we all know, it is one of the organization which is responsible for the development of the world, has come in front where World Bank is going to set up a fund which will be utilized for the redevelopment of Ukraine. If I say why World Bank was set up, practically World Bank was set up with the same motive after World War II, in order to redevelop, in order to reconstruct majority nations. There was an organization required to fund the nations for their development, and due to which World Bank was set up in the past. And in order to take over, or I would say in order to continue its legacy, continue the reason behind which the organization has been set up, or I would say to go forward with its foundational principles, World Bank has again come in picture related to Ukraine. So what is the news? World Bank has established a fund to support what? So to support the recovery of Ukraine after Russia-Ukraine war. World Bank has created a special, what is the name? That is known as financial intermediary. What is the name? So it is known as Financial Intermediary Fund to help Ukraine as it continues to face challenges from the ongoing war with Russia. So which all countries they have come forward to help Ukraine? Then I would say countries like United States, Canada, and Japan, they are expected to contribute funds in this particular account, or in this particular fund which has been created by World Bank to assist the organization, or to assist the military as well as the humanitarian needs. So this fund will not only will not be only utilized for the development of the Ukraine or redevelopment of the Ukraine. It will also be used for funding the current situation, or for funding the current requirement. So in this particular scenario, we need to understand this point very carefully, that on one side, Russia-Ukraine war is going on one side, Russia-Ukraine war is going on, and on the other side, we have witnessed that the countries, they have come together to arrange funds, and those funds will be utilized in order to support the military needs as well as the humanitarian needs in Ukraine. So this creation has been done, this introduction has been done. What all things you need to remember? So there are certain facts and figures related to the same which you need to remember. Please pay attention on the screen. Establishment of the fund, World Bank's executive board approved that this fund is a critical way to support Ukraine financially. This move aligns the G7 pledge. So G7 has already come up with the pledge that they will be contributing around $50 billion to help Ukraine by the end of the year. Russia was the only nation, obviously, in G7 which was not agreeing. Obviously, how Russia can agree to fund Ukraine, because it's a Russia-Ukraine war going on. But yes, G7 nations, they have already come up with a statement that we will be pledging around $50 billion in this year itself to help Ukraine, so that Ukraine can come out of the current situation and recover over the period of time. So the contributions from US as well as Canada and Japan are still being finalized. So 1 second, you need to remember that G7 has already announced that we will be funding around $50 billion for Ukraine. But the nations like US, Canada, Japan, they are ready. But what amount they are going to deliver, that has not been fixed. So fund aims to strengthen Ukraine's economy during the difficult times as per the status or as per the latest initiative taken. If I talk about European Union, so European Union has committed to provide 35 billion euros to support G7 funding efforts. So on one side, where G7 is talking about $50 billion, in that particular amount, this announcement has been made that if I talk about European Union has announced that they will be contributing 35 billion euros for Ukraine redevelopment, for the growth of Ukraine, for fighting against the current scenarios. Remember that additionally, immobilized Russian central bank assets will be used to assist Ukraine financial needs further. This is very important. What does it say? It says that immobilized Russian central bank assets, immobilized Russian central bank assets with the organization will also be used further to finance or to fulfill the financial needs of Ukraine in the near future, as per the statement. Experts, they say that these combined financial contributions will always and will obviously reduce the financial strain on Ukraine's budget, and the cost related to the war in 2023 alone are estimated to be around $80 to $90 billion. So this is very important. What does it say? The cost of war which is being faced by Ukraine in 2023 alone was $80 to $90 billion, and that is the reason this funding is very much needed. This funding is very much required by Ukraine, so that Ukraine can be supported in financial terms to come out of the tough times. Moving on to the next point. Not only the fundings have been announced, but on the other side, US President as well as the head of Germany, they have made a discussion that what initiatives should be taken. So the creation of this fund took place. Where this fund was created? So this fund was created during a discussion between US President as well as the German head, and they have come together to take this decision that yes, we should set up a fund in World Bank, and that amount will be utilized for funding Ukraine in order to fight against the tough times which Ukraine is facing right now. These conversations show how countries are working together in order to support Ukraine, but unfortunately, n number of efforts were undoubtedly made by the nations all over the globe to help Ukraine, but they were not strong enough to stop the ongoing war scenario in Ukraine, because we all know that after Ukraine, now the geopolitical situation has been different in Israel, Iran, Gaza. I hope you all know that. Keeping all these things in mind, if you are creating a fund, that is okay. But what is this? This is a cure. Rather than talking about here we should talk about prevention. So there should be certain rules and regulations which are need to be introduced either through UNO or Security Council, that these kind of initiatives can be directly challenged on the front end itself in order to reach to a point where we are right now in Russia, Ukraine, or in Iran, Israel. Chalo, no worries. Moving to the next point. So World Bank's role and experience. We all know that Ajay Banga, he is the president of World Bank, and he said that this is not the first time that we are setting up of these kind of funds. We have our foundation on the same grounds that we were set up in order to create the funds which will help the nations to fight against or to redevelop over the period of time. So this fund will be taken care of. This fund will be managed efficiently by World Bank because we already have expertise in the same context. Now, if I talk about the global contribution, new fund is designated to attract contribution from countries outside Europe as well. So we know that Europe is already helping Ukraine on full-fledged, and they have made their announcements in the past as well. But this fund has been created not only to attract the European countries, but also the outside nations outside Europe. They should come together, invest the funds, and that amount can be utilized for the redevelopment of Ukraine. So by doing so, the World Bank hopes to encourage a global effort to provide resources which are necessary currently or which are necessarily required by Ukraine in order to overcome out of the crisis wala situation. Now, whenever we talk about World Bank, we must understand few important points related to World Bank. First is why World Bank was set up and when it was set up. So World Bank was founded in 1944 and it was basically set up to rebuild the world after World War II. It is made up of in total 5 institutions, out of which 2 are very important. One is International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and second one is International Development Association. If you ask where is the headquarters, so its headquarters is in Washington DC, but the core motive of World Bank is to fight against poverty. So the core motive of World Bank is to reduce poverty and promote sustainable development all over the globe. Secondly, which you need to remember over here is, so World Bank has provided loan and grants to more than 100 countries in order to support their projects, be it related to education, healthcare, climate initiative, as well as gender equality. And from where they get these funds, so they raise the funds by issuing the bonds. So they issue the debt instruments. Against those debt instruments, they raise the funds, and those funds are utilized in order to support, in order to fund n number of government projects or even the private projects which are going over the globe in terms of development, that is sustainable development related to poverty eradication and many other infrastructure development projects. So if I conclude my discussion for the first news, then I would say World Bank is in news because World Bank has recently set up a fund in order to support Ukraine, because Russia-Ukraine war has led to the great destruction in Ukraine, and in order to support the Ukraine, not only in terms of reconstruction, not only in terms of redevelopment, but also in terms of military assistance required in the current scenario, in terms of humanitarian assistance required in the current scenario, this announcement has been made, and they have called this fund as FIF. What does this FIF stands for? So it stands for Financial Intermediary Fund, which has been announced by World Bank for Ukraine. G7 nations, $50 billion, European Union, 35 billion euros. Remember these terms, they can be asked directly in your phase 1 examination. Remember that. Moving on to the next news. The next news is very important and interesting as well. We all know that currently foreign exchange rates are decided on the basis of, a method which is known as floating exchange rate. I'm talking with context to India, which means exchange rate of Indian rupees with respect to US dollars, or for that matter with any other international currency. It depends upon the market scenarios, that is demand and supply. The moment demand increases in comparison to supply, price increases, which is a very, I would say, simple law of demand. Now in the similar scenario, if we take or if we consider currency as a commodity, and if the demand for a particular currency increases, undoubtedly its price increases in terms of other currency. What I'm trying to say, let's say in India, demand on US dollars increases. So if you want to purchase US dollar against Indian rupees, if the demand is increasing in comparison to supply, then obviously price will increase, which means you have to pay more in order to purchase a same dollar. So which leads to the increase in gap between rupees and dollar, and this gap is known as exchange rate. And we have witnessed highest exchange rate, or we have witnessed that Indian currency has declined to maximum point, and we have witnessed that Indian rupee is all-time low, which says $1 is equals to 84.07 rupees. Now the question is, so do you think this kind of question will be asked in our examination? Obviously not. Not even in phase 1. No one is going to ask you what is the current exchange rate of US dollar with respect to Indian rupees. No one is going to ask you. But one thing is important. Why I have included it? The reason is it is all-time low, which means, as the statement, all-time low. That means till now the lowest price or the highest gap between dollar and rupees has been witnessed, which is 84.07 rupees. Secondly, you need to understand the reasons because of which this price has declined. And these reasons, which we are going to discuss, they can help you to write a good answer while giving your phase 2 paper 3, that is finance and management. So let's get started. Let's discuss them one by one. So the first point says the Indian rupee has witnessed a record low on Tuesday, that is yesterday, pressed by a fall in its regional peers, while mild dollar sales from state-run banks supported the currency, which has remained subdued this month. So what this statement means, this means that Indian currency has witnessed a downfall with respect to US dollar, along with the regional peers like Pakistan currency, or for that matter Bangladesh currency or Bhutan currency, while mild dollar sales from the state-run banks. That means the state-run banks, they have sold out the dollars, which has supported this particular scenario. Otherwise it would have been more on the negative side, which means on one side demand is increasing, and on the other side, state-run banks, they have sold out the reserves, the dollars they have, which resulted in increase in supply in the market. Still, after the sale, the difference is 84.07 rupees, which is highest till date. Just give a thought, if they might have not sold out their dollars, then this gap must have been increased, and it could be beyond 84.5 rupees as well. So rupee was at 84.07 rupees against US dollar as of 11:20 AM, nearly unchanged from its close at 84.06 on Monday. So it's not the time. On Monday as well as on Tuesday, we have witnessed the gap on the maximum level where rupee has fallen down beyond 84 rupees. Now the question over here is, the currency has slipped to all-time low, and after weakening below 84 rupees for the very first time in the last week, we are witnessing that it is dropping down. The rupee is down by about 0.3% this month, but has fared better than its regional peers, where we have witnessed a decline of 0.8 to 3% with respect to the US dollars. The dollar index was at 103.3 on Tuesday, which is strongest level in over 2 months, and other Asian countries were between 0.1% to 0.8%, which are not doing well in comparison to the Indian rupees. Sustained outflow. Now the question is, what is the reason why this is happening? Sustained outflow from local equities have hurt the local currency this month, with foreign investors having pulled out about $8 billion so far. So the foreign investors who have invested their funds in India, they have pulled out almost $8 billion in the last 1 month. And if they are pulling out $8 billion in the last 1 month, what does it mean? It means demand is increasing. So how demand is increasing? What you are trying to say? I'm trying to say, in India, a foreign investor invests. Obviously, when a foreign investor comes to India and invests in India, he or she will be coming up with foreign currency. And the moment they invest, this foreign currency remains in the country and it is a part of forex reserves. The moment this investor wants to disinvest the funds, and the moment they have decided to disinvest the funds, they will be taking up or they will be carrying out the same foreign currency they invested earlier. So if they are willing to take out their investment, they are willing to carry their currency back to their nations, which is resulting in increase in demand on foreign currency in the economy. And with respect to supply, if demand is high, the gap will increase, or I would say rupee will obviously decline with respect to the US dollar. Benchmark equity indices, that is Bombay Stock Exchange Sensex as well as Nifty, they were down by 0.2% each on Tuesday, diverging from gains in most other Asian equities. Most of the Asian equities, they were in profit, but Indian equities or Indian stock exchange, they have witnessed a fall, and the fall is because the foreign investors, they are taking out their money. Now the question over here is, so why they are taking out their money? The reason is very clear. The first reason is, as we all know, Federal Reserve has decreased its interest rates. If they have decreased their interest rate, that means there is an easy availability of credit in the economy, especially in US. If there is an easy, or I would say low rate equity available in the economy, then the investment in the economy will increase. If investment in the economy is going to increase, it will result in growth, it will result in development, it will result in increase in capital gain. So keeping that point in mind, because in US liquidity is going to increase, so rather than investing our funds in India, they should invest in US, where there is a possibility of increase in liquidity, increase in capital gain, increase in growth, which force them to disinvest their funds from India and invest in US. This is one of the reasons. Second reason is geopolitical tensions which are going on. We were having Russia-Ukraine tension already, but now we have Israel-Iran tension, which is also impacting the investment, or I would say foreign investment, and it is also somehow affecting the sentiments of the investors, and now they want to save the funds with them because they are not pretty sure about the global economy. Remember that meanwhile the dollar rupee forward premiums also dipped. 1 year US Treasury yield was 7 basis point at 4.25% in Asia hours. So the result, I would say the returns which were expected on US Treasury reserves or US Treasury instruments, they have increased, which has demanded the investors to reroute their investment from India to US in order to enjoy larger gains. And if there is huge evacuation of currency, obviously that will lead to increase in demand, and the Indian rupees will fall with respect to the foreign currency. That has happened. Now moving on to the third news of the day. The third news says Bank of Baroda introduces special BOB Utsav deposit scheme for the festive season. So what is it? We know that India is going to, or I would say India has already hit into the festive season, and this is the season where liquidity in the market increases because of immense expenditure which we are going to do. Many of our families, especially if I talk about the lower middle class families as well as the lower classes, we all directly wait for Deepavali, Dussehra or Navaratras to make our expenditure in order to purchase goods, especially the consumable goods at our home, and they are aligned with the, or I would say that is the reason Flipkart sale or Amazon sale has been aligned in the same time period. So this is the time in India where illiquidity is going to increase in the market. Everyone is going to spend their hard-earned savings so that they can enjoy the current festive season, and they can distribute their love, or they can distribute their love to their loved ones with the help of gifts and all, and there is going to be immense level of expenditure in the market. Now keeping this in mind, Bank of Baroda wants to hit the paddle with the flow, and Bank of Baroda has come up with a, I would say, has come up with a benefit or a scheme where they are going to attract huge amount of deposits, which is called as BOB Utsav deposit scheme. So Bank of Baroda introduces new 400-day, this is very important, 400-day term deposit scheme, which means it is a term deposit scheme, which has been termed as BOB Utsav deposit scheme, aimed at offering higher interest rate to various categories of depositors during the festive season. Now, they are trying to attract the, I would say, salaried person. You're going to get the bonus. Don't waste it. Do not use the bonus for making the expenditure. Rather, save your bonus and earn huge profits with the help of a new, I would say, scheme which has been offered during the festive season. Everyone is giving you discount. We are giving you extra interest. So you choose whether you want to use extra discount and make the expenditure, or you want to enjoy extra interest rate and you want to make the deposits. So this scheme not only provides competitive interest rate for the general depositor, but also caters especially to the senior citizens as well as the super senior citizens. Let's check out the key features quickly. So it is launched for a limited period offer, BOB Utsav deposit scheme, which is designed to capitalize on the current interest rate cycle, offering 400-day term. This is important. The scheme is applicable to a fixed deposit, but there is a limit. Your fixed deposit should be less than or up to 3 crore rupees, and it will give you a number of benefits. Let's check out the benefits. Interest rates which are going to be offered. General citizen, the scheme provides an interest rate of 7.30%. In case of senior citizen, it's going to be 7.80%. Senior citizen means the individual with age more than 60 years. But if you are with the age more than 80 years, then you are going to enjoy 10 basis point extra, that is 7.90%. Now you must be wondering, so should I remember these interest rates? No. Just remember, Utsav deposit scheme has been introduced by which bank? Bank of Baroda. Term 400 days. Term deposit or term deposit or demand deposit? Answer is term deposit. Why it has been introduced? In order to attract deposits during the festive season by offering high interest rate. That is it. Along with that, non-callable deposit offering interest rates are high as 7.9%, making it an attractive option for customers who do not require premature withdrawal. So if you say that I'm making a deposit for 400 days and I'll not be calling this amount before 400 days, then they can even offer you with an interest rate of 7.95%, which is highest in the market. Along with that, remember, in addition to this, Bank of Baroda has announced an increase in interest rate on term deposit for selected tenure. Interest rate for term deposit in a range of 3 years to 5 years bucket has been increased by 30 basis points. This is in general. In general also, Bank of Baroda has increased the interest rates. Remember one thing very carefully. Whenever the interest rates are increased, what it led to? Sir, it led to more and more deposits, and if deposits are increasing, that means money supply in the market will decrease. Yes or no? Do you agree? My answer is, listen to me very carefully. For example, I have surplus funds and I'm enjoying or I'm receiving an opportunity where I can deposit my funds and earn higher deposit rates. I will be depositing my amount and that amount will be lended by the bank. So if deposits are increasing, credit capacity of the bank will increase and the flow of money supply in the market will increase, which will boost up the growth of the economy. We have witnessed that India has not grown up to the mark in the first quarter for 2024-25, but expectations are in coming quarter we are going to grow by 7% and up more than 7% in the subsequent 2 quarters. But overall growth estimates for the nation as set by RBI 7.2%. Remember that this point is important. Last, which I would like to discuss over here is, it says for the first time Bank of Baroda has introduced a super senior citizen category in its term deposit. Under the new provision, customer age more than 80 years can avail 10% extra interest rate, as we have discussed. So remember that 400 days is important, name is important, bank name is important. That is it. Nothing else is going to be memorized from this particular news. But I have tried my level best to give you the entire detail. Along with this, I have one more important discussion over here. Bank of Baroda has also increased its interest rates on Earth Green term deposit. What is Earth Green term deposit? This is a new term for you. Remember that. Earth Green term deposit promote environmental sustainability while providing depositors with more attractive interest rate, making it responsible yet lucrative investment option. So they are attracting deposits from you by offering you high interest rate, and that amount will be utilized to fund the sustainable development projects in the economy. That is basically termed as Earth Green Term Deposit, where Bank of Baroda has announced to offer high interest rates. So in short, Bank of Baroda has increased its deposit interest rates, which will increase the credit capacity of the bank, and it will lead to the growth of the economy in the near future. Last news of the day is related to UPI. You know very well that India is on the first rank in terms of number of digital transactions as well as the amount of digital transactions which is done in India. For that matter, we are 3 times ahead of China in terms of volume and value of the digital transactions. And the reason is, or I would say it is possible all because of only one, that is UPI. So under the UPI, I have a news for you. The news talks about a company that is Navi. So Navi achieves 5th spot in UPI ranking for 2nd time. What is it all about? What is Navi? Remember that. So Navi is basically a fintech company which is co-founded by Sachin Bansal. If you remember his name, he is related to Flipkart. If I'm not wrong, please check it once and do let me know in the comment section. Now it has become the 5th largest player in the UPI ecosystem. So the processing has witnessed that in September, overall transactions which have been done, that is around 12 crore, and the value of the transaction was around 6,500 crore rupees. So for me, one thing is important. Navi is now on the 5th rank in terms of UPI transactions which are done in the country. But the question is, sir, which company is on the 1st rank? If I talk about the company on the 1st rank, we all know that highest market share is with PhonePe. Second highest market share is with Google Pay, and they both collectively are holding a market share of 92.5%. PhonePe, if I say, largest player, which has recorded 700 and billion is 10 to the power 722 crore transactions which are valued at 10.3 trillion rupees on Google, and second rank is Google, where it is from 722. Here the transactions are 562 crore transactions with a value of 7.46 trillion rupees. First is PhonePe, second is Google Pay. On the 5th rank we have Navi. But one thing which you need to remember over here is, so the company has surpassed Amazon Pay in UPI volume in August and is now just 20 million transaction behind the Cred. So Cred is on the 4th rank, but Amazon Pay has been taken over, by which the answer to this particular question is a newly set of company in the field of UPI, that is Navi. So remember, 1st rank PhonePe, 2nd rank Google Pay, and on the 5th rank we have Navi, which is one of the newest player in the market. So remember, Navi, PhonePe and Google Pay, that is more than sufficient, and it has done pretty well in the past, especially by surpassing Amazon Pay, and it is just behind Cred, because of which this news is important. Done, guys. So that will be all from my side in this particular session. Now, before I conclude, if you're preparing for RBI Grade B 2025 examination, then I would suggest you do enroll yourself in Lakshya batch. Use the code MADHAV in order to enjoy maximum discount, and trust me, this is going to be a one-stop solution for your preparation, where you can easily prepare, and that too pretty well, in order to clear your RBI Grade B 2025 examination. So that will be all. We'll catch you in the next session to go. Please join the Telegram channel in order to download the PDF of this session. Thank you so much. Good luck. We'll catch you soon in the upcoming sessions to go. Bye-bye.